Is Don Sweeney now the most hated man in all of hockey? Welcome back, motherfuckers. It's me, your host for the evening, D-Bag. I'm joined, as always, by the lovely Danger Water, the now hairy Chris. Still not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's a weird
It's
thing
weird.
for all of us.
Put the hat back on.
Our magic 8-ball has disappeared.
Yeah. And finally, we are joined now by our permanent co-host, Goss Mall. Mall, welcome to being a permanent host with us. We have made it official.
So
There's no escaping it.
Nope, not anymore. Motherfuckers, you guys are stuck with me.
You're
Even though
stuck with me.
last week was his first official week, but he couldn't be here because he had to work. So it was like,
he blew us
delayed
off
gratification.
on his first official week.
But he the night before was streaming with me on my own Twitch channel, and he goes, "Dude, I gotta work tomorrow. I'm so sorry." I'm like, "It's all good, bro. I get it."
And honestly, this is a really interesting time because last Tuesday was my wife's birthday. Tonight's my son's birthday. It's
Happy birthday!
Happy
Working
birth.
on your son's birthday?
Well, I'm here, aren't I?
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, that's
Yes.
True. Well, we are so glad to have you as a permanent co-host.
Yes.
So thank you for accepting.
It's
Glad to
nice
be
not
part of
being
it.
the only.
No.
It's nice not being the only dude.
I'm here to even the odds. Guys can't gang up on Chris anymore. You're welcome.
I was always one of the
no,
girls.
we 100% still can.
Yeah, I was always one of the
and
girls
will.
anyway.
True. Our group chat was literally called Girls Chat or something like that.
Yeah.
Which we don't use, but we need to again.
Yeah, we need to bring that back. We need to resurrect it.
Bring it back.
Well,
I don't even think
speaking-
I'm logged into Snapchat anymore.
Speaking of the girls, why don't we kick it off with me talking about the PWHL, as I do
Yes.
every week, without fail. So first things first, we had 16 PWHL players named to the U.S. women's national roster, which is incredible. So we had goaltenders Erin Frankel, who plays for Boston, Gwyneth Phillips, who plays for Ottawa. We had defenders Kayla Barnes of Montreal, Savannah Harmon of Toronto, Megan Keller of Boston, Lee Stecklin of Minnesota, Anna Wilgren of Montreal. I keep seeing MTL and thinking it's a different place. I don't know why. Lost my place. Yes, that was our last defender, was Anna Wilgren. Forwards. Surprising to no one, Alex Carpenter from New York. Jesse Comfer of Toronto. Surprising to no one, Kendall Coyne-Schofield of Minnesota. How you would not add her to a team is beyond me.
Oh yeah.
Britta Kroll-Salam is also from Minnesota. Taylor Heisey from Minnesota. Hillary Knight from Boston. Kelly Panic from Minnesota. Haley Skamura from Toronto. And Grace Zumwinkle from Minnesota. So basically the entire Minnesota roster will be playing
just
on the
about
women's national team.
Pretty much.
Basically.
You know.
Yes. They will represent
What the
the
hell are the
United... Right? They will represent the U.S. at the 2025 International Ice Hockey Federation Women's World Cup and Czechia. There's a city, and I do not want to butcher it. I'm so sorry, y'all. I would need some serious help with that. It looks dope as shit, though. You got a lot of, symbols and things. Very cool.
To any of our Czech listeners,
Send me a
help us the fuck
pronunciation
out,
guide.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Girl, it sounds beautiful, but I am
say it.
way too American for pronouncing that correctly on the first try.
Americanized.
Yeah. But the tournament is from April 9th through the 20th. The full 25-player U.S. women's national team is also available, but we only care about the 16 that play in the PWHL. With that, they also announced their full team staff, which include assistant coach Josh Sheba, who's from New York, scout Haley Skarupa from Minnesota, athletic trainers Katie Homan from Minnesota, and Amanda Kelly from Boston, and equipment manager Sis Paulson, also from Minnesota. And at some point, we will see Canada's teams announced. I have not seen that listed yet, unless it slipped by me. Also, as of time of recording, we just got notified that there was another disciplinary action scheduled.
Oh my
So we got a
gosh.
bad girl alert in the club. Bad girl Britta Kroll-Salam has been suspended for one game, and Toronto defender Scepter's defender, Renata Fast, has been fined $250, each following incidents in the March 9th game between the two teams. And Britta's on Minnesota, by the way, if I didn't say that. They determined that Fast at 3:23 of the first period struck opponent Kendall Coyne-Schofield in the head with the shaft of her stick, which went unpenalized during play. Coyne-Schofield was in a vulnerable position, and the contact compromised her safety. This violates PWHL Rule 60.1, cross-checking. This is the first fine that Fast has been assessed in her career. At 12:06 of the second period, the player safety committee determined that Carla Salame had extended her elbow upward and outward as she delivered a high hit on opponent Megan Carter, making her head the main point of contact. The play resulted in a minor penalty for elbowing and is a violation of PWHL Rule 48, illegal check to the head. This is the second one-game suspension assessed to Britta this season alone, following the high-sticking incident on January 2nd against Boston. So I will say, Britta, we're going to give you the same shit that we give all the boys. You have to get that under control. If you are getting fined and suspended and all of that for illegal checks to the head in multiple, like that was just 2 months ago, it was January, surprisingly, don't know how, then like, girl, fucking hire a trainer or something, because clearly you are doing something wrong, technically speaking.
So I want to pose a question to you guys, because we've talked about this in the past, right? How the league, the PWHL in itself, compared to other women's leagues, is very lenient on the physicality. They allow big hits. They allow some post whistle activities. We've seen a fight. Do we feel like that has allowed the players to up the aggression level, to which now we're seeing players get high sticking penalties? We're seeing suspensions for like high hits, for like that sort of stuff. Do we feel like that this is kind of brought the same monster that we complain about with the NHL?
I don't think we're
That's
quite
really
there yet.
Yeah.
You know, I think it definitely opened up a lot of things, but I also think that a lot of it just stems from the girls being more, well, the women being more comfortable, especially in the second season, you know, and getting to know what they can and can't do, because I think it is slightly different than the other leagues as far as physicality and what's allowed go.
I think also we're seeing more this season because it is the second season. I think in the inaugural season, they had so many eyes on them, and the rules were all still so new that they were trying, that they weren't even finding boundaries there, because they were just, you know, playing basically like IHF rules. You know what I mean?
Right.
Very clean, whatever. And then as it progressed and they're now testing those boundaries, I think they're finding them. And what I would like to see is that they then stick within those boundaries. Unlike the dudes who are like, oh, boundaries fucking where?
You
know what I mean?
It feels like a 6-7-year-old kid that's just like testing their parents to see what they can get away with. Which again, like,
Agreed.
it's brought the product to this all-time amazing entertainment that we get. I have not watched a single PWHL game and gone, that was boring. Like, it's different than other women's leagues that I've seen, and this is no disrespect to the players, but the leagues themselves having rules that like constrict the players so much that it's not allowing them to play the game. Like, hockey is, in its sense, male, female, or other, it's an aggressive, full contact sport. So let the women hit each other, you know? Like, we saw them kind of let the fights go, but yeah, it feels like we're getting a little more aggressive and chippy now.
But here's the thing, though. How many times are you going to try to pester your siblings before your other sibling hits back harder? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, how many people is she going to potentially hurt or put in dangerous situations before she puts a target on her back? I mean, we saw the same thing in the NHL with, was it Matt Rempe?
Yeah.
You know, he was
Nick
so
Cousins,
aggressive.
perfect
Yeah,
example,
exactly.
too.
So how far are you going to go before all of a sudden now you have a target? And people are going to try to, you know, take you out the only way they can. Because if the penalty is not going to do it or the fine's not going to do it, then have you to take a break unintentionally, you know?
But I think also last year we didn't see a fuckload of suspensions and fines out of the PWHL.
Maybe like
not because
3?
they weren't being aggressive. They were still being aggressive. They were still hitting hard and doing all that stuff. I think the PWHL took a look at stuff that happened last year and was like, we could have called a penalty here. We
Right.
could have done better here.
Right.
And so I think that this is the PWHL once again doing what the boys won't with the Department of Player Safety, and saying like we should have done more to stop the head contact. So now they are just assessing fines and doing all of that. What we'll have to wait to see is if next year or even through the rest of their season, if things like this, if 2 1-game suspensions in a single year will mean that Britta is no longer, she's not going to get the contract extension that she wants. She's going to be a liability. You know what I mean? We don't know if that's how the PWHL
teams
is
aren't
going to
want
take
her
it.
if she's going to be a problem. We've seen that in how many cases in the NHL?
Right.
If you're
So-
a problem or liability, good luck getting a spot. You have to earn it at
Yeah.
that point instead of it, oh, you're a name. But no, I just felt like that was a
Exactly.
good question because I feel like every week now someone's getting in trouble. And Britta,
Yeah.
we've heard her name definitely multiple times this year. So like
Yeah.
you got to hold yourself accountable. You are now in the public eye for young impressionable girls that want to play the sport. Do you want those girls to come up thinking that like elbowing and high sticking and shots to the head are okay?
Yeah. No, we don't want that.
No.
So, and I think we'll
No.
see the PWHL continue to crack down on that, and we'll see some repeat offender language start to creep in. They didn't give it to her for this one, but I think after this, should she do another thing that's like not incidental contact to the head, but is purposeful,
Bigger
we'll see that
suspensions.
repeat offender language come in, and we'll see more than a 1-game suspension for sure.
Yeah.
So, with that, let's talk about some other stuff happening. Recently, this past Friday at the Lenovo Center, we had the 7th installment of the Takeover Tour from the Minnesota Frost against the Ottawa Charge. Minnesota won that game in a decisive victory, 5-0 over Ottawa.
Just slapping that
they
ass.
They had 10,782 fans in attendance, which for Lenovo Center is not bad at all. It was an incredible game. They really seemed to be clicking as a team. Minnesota, again, one of the top teams in the league right now for them. So this brings the attendance through the first 7 of the PWHL Takeover Tour games to 100,735. With this game, we officially have broken that 100,000 attendance mark. And again, that's just for 7 games, which is just incredible. Minnesota leads the league with 4 games with 5 or more goals scored. The team and the next most such games is Ottawa with 2. So they have Minnesota's beaten the shit out of people quite a bit. And tonight was the 3rd 5-goal margin victory in the PWHL this season. The last one was recorded by Ottawa against Minnesota, actually. So it went the opposite way. They beat them 8-3. Kind of funny. So great news there. Some other PWHL news is that they are celebrating Indigenous heritage with special edition artwork by Alana Estates, Otsitkoa, Morningstar Jewel. And Alana, girl, I really tried. I will listen to your name again and apologize for how bad I fucked it up. Alana is a Bear Clan member from the Oneida Nation of the Thames, which is a Canadian tribe. So this is an activation across its Canadian teams, and the artwork is beautiful that she created. It's a special edition of the Unity game artwork. The Ottawa Charge will host their Indigenous Heritage Unity game at TD Place on Tuesday, March 11th, followed by the Toronto Scepters at Coca-Cola Coliseum on Wednesday, March 19th, and the Montreal Victoire at Place Bell on Sunday, March 23rd. Each game will be on traditional Indigenous territories, recognizing and honoring the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people who have cared for these lands since time immemorial. The Indigenous Heritage celebrations will highlight community leaders, welcome First Nations youth hockey teams, and incorporate elements unique to Indigenous cultures. The artwork designed by Jewel is deeply rooted in Indigenous culture, incorporating themes of nature, spirituality, and identity. Her design is a powerful tribute to Indigenous strength, resilience, and belonging in hockey. Each element carries deep meaning, honoring Indigenous traditions and the presence of Indigenous athletes in hockey. Jewel, whose passion is to promote Indigenous art and culture in urban areas, said, "I hope this artwork inspires people to honor their values while doing the things that they love." The artwork will be featured in the PWHL Indigenous Heritage Celebration commemorative poster, which will be available for purchase at each of the 3 venues beginning on their Indigenous celebration game. The PWHL is proud to make a contribution to the Aboriginal Sports Circle, an organization dedicated to supporting Indigenous athletes and increasing access to hockey and other sports within Indigenous communities. If you are interested in donating to the Aboriginal Sport Circle or to any of PWHL's other efforts, please visit thepwhl.com or go directly to ASC's website to make a donation directly there as well. I love that the PWHL is really taking a part of this game to honor various different groups, and this one is no different. I'm so glad that they're doing that in Canada and hope that one day we get to see them honoring U.S. Indigenous groups as well, because there are quite a few here in the U.S. too.
Well, and for you and I, it's a different thing supporting with the lacrosse community that we are a part of.
Yeah.
Supporting Indigenous communities is a big deal. So this is really, really big for them.
So with that, we will move into everybody's favorite portion of the week. That's not true. That comes later in the episode. But we are going to move into Shark Beauty Canada presents the 3 stars of the week. We're going to start, as we always do, with our 3rd star. This week, that is none other than the goalie, Maddie Rooney of the Minnesota Frost. Rooney allowed only 1 goal in regulation time during her 2 appearances last week in a 2-1 shootout loss to Montreal. Rooney was beaten only by a Stacey shot 17 seconds into the middle period and a Poulin solo in the shootout. She rebounded in her next outing Friday against Ottawa, stopping all 19 charged shots in a 5-0 shootout before 10,782 fans at the Lenovo Center in Raleigh, North Carolina. That triumph helped the Frost avenge an 8-3 loss to Ottawa in the team's previous meeting and gave Minnesota the distinction of having participated in the 3 PWHL games ever decided by 5 goals. The New York Sirens recorded a 5-0 triumph over the Frost on January 4th, and then obviously that game, the 2 games we mentioned. The shutout in Raleigh was Rooney's 2nd blank of the season and made her first goalie to record multiple shutouts in each of the league's first 2 campaigns. She has 6 performances of 1 goal against or less this season, tied with Toronto's Kristen Campbell and second only to the 7 by Montreal's Anne-Renee Despin. Shout out to Maddie. Our 2nd star is Laura Stacey, a forward for the Montreal Victoire. Last week's 1st star of the week collected a goal in Tuesday's 2-1 shootout victory over Minnesota, set up by Montreal's only goal in a 4-1 loss at Toronto on Tuesday, and added 2 assists Saturday in the Victoire's 3-2 overtime triumph over Boston at Agganis Arena. Against the Fleet, the dynamic winger set up the game-opening goal by Poulin just 3 minutes and 41 seconds into the game and assisted on Caleb Barnes' game winner just 21 seconds into overtime. With 1 goal and 3 assists and 16 shots on goal for last week's 3 games, Stacey stretched her scoring streak to 6 games. That's a lot of S's. Over which she has accounted for 4 goals and 5 assists, 29 shots, and a +6 rating. With 8 goals and 8 assists for the season, Stacey ranks 2nd in points on the Victoire to the 14 goals and 5 assists amassed by Marie-Philippe Poulin, while her assist total is 4th on the team to the 11 by Erin Ambrose and Jennifer Gardner, and 9 by Barnes. Our 1st star this week is none other than Hillary Knight, a forward for the Boston Fleet. Boston's Capital collected her first career PWHL hat trick and added an assist in Wednesday's 5-2 victory over the New York at Songa Center. It was Knight's 2nd multi-goal game in 5 games after none in her first 48 PWHL outings. That's inclusive of playoffs. She also scored twice against the Sirens in a 4-1 Boston victory at Prudential Center. Though she went without a point in Saturday's 3-2 overtime loss to Montreal at Agganis Arena, Knight helped the Fleet stretch its team record point streak to 7 games and matched their 35-point total for the 24 games of the PWHL's inaugural season. Knight finished the week with 8 shots on goal and 76 for the season, now tied for 2nd in the league with Victoire's Stacey. With 11 goals and 10 assists in the 2024-2025 campaign, Knight leads her team in points, is 2nd in the PWHL with goals to the 14 by Montreal's Marie-Philippe Poulin, and is tied for 3rd in points with Minnesota's Kenda Coyne-Schofield and Toronto's Daryl Watts. So, quick recap of where that leaves us. We now have a shit ton of ties. Tied at 3rd with 40 points is Alex Carpenter of New York and Hillary Knight of Boston. Tied for 2nd. Oh, wait. tied for second with 50 points is Abby Boreen of Montreal, Gabby Hughes of Ottawa, Hannah Miller of Toronto, and Laura Stacey of Montreal. And then absolutely smoking everybody is Marie-Philippe Poulin with 90 points and currently in first place.
Are we just going to hand her the MVP this year? Like,
I mean, at this point, like, why is anyone else competing?
This is wild.
Yeah. Although I will say, I forgot until I saw recently someone was talking about the fact that the PWHL does things differently for points in order to determine who gets the number one draft pick.
Yeah.
Obviously, whoever's first in the league, they get to decide who they want to go up against in the first round. They get to choose between third and fourth seed as to who they want to face.
Wild.
Leaving second place to just pick up their scraps,
Like
basically.
whoever.
So that's really cool. But then to incentivize people from not tanking their season, the two remaining teams, because currently there are only 6 in the league, the two remaining teams continue to amass points from that point on. From whatever date they're mathematically calculated out of the playoff running. Those points, whoever accumulates more points is who ends up getting the first round pick.
Yeah.
So it prevents people from tanking the season and keeps good hockey going, even when you know that your season is done for.
Gee, it's
which I
almost like
really
the NHL
appreciate.
should like take that sort of approach too.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, again, the girls are just innovating left, right,
They're-
and center,
they
and we
get
love to
it.
see it.
Yeah, the league itself gets it, and they're making the changes to make the sport better. And I don't
Mhm.
think it's long before a lot of the rules they've implicated you start seeing in the NHL, because they're going to be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, this kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
So-
the jailbreak goal, I think
Yeah,
that
I'm
one's
in.
for sure coming to the NHL.
Give
I'm
me
all
that.
in. Could you imagine if they had a jailbreak situation during the Four Nations? That would have taken what was already like a mesmerizing situation and made it
Uh-huh.
even more
Mm-hmm.
enticing to viewers.
Yeah.
Right.
G bets $$$$$. Make it happen.
At
No.
NHL.com, yeah.
Yeah, at NHL.com.
Email.
No.
Yeah. 100%. All right, well, let's bring it over to the boys and their 3 stars of the week. This week, our third star, very exciting. I should have worn my fucking jersey, but I didn't think about it. This week, our third star is Tom Wilson, a right winger for the Washington Capitals. I love getting to say the Capitals' name in these 3-star wrap-ups. It doesn't happen very often, but hey, take it when you can get it, you know? Wilson compiled 3 goals and 4 assists to help the Capitals win all 4 of their games and reclaim first place in the overall league standings. Yeah, boy. He registered 1 goal and 1 assist in each of his first 3 outings, a 5-4 shootout win against the Ottawa Senators, a 3-2 win against the New York Rangers, featuring his 5th career overtime and 26th career game-winning goal, and a 5-2 win over the Detroit Red Wings. Wilson then added 1 assist in a 4-2 comeback win against the Seattle Kraken. The 30-year-old Wilson sits 4th on Washington with 29 goals and 23 assists through 63 total appearances this season, already a career high for goals, 5 ahead of the 24 he scored in the 2021-2022 season, which was previously his record, and tied for a career high in points. So he already has a career high when he played 78 games, and we're only 63 through. So he is just on a fucking tear, and we'd love to see it. Our second star is, this is so weird, is Steven Stamkos, center for the Nashville Predators. It's just so weird saying his name next to Nashville. Feels uncomfy, I'm going to be honest.
Uncomfy.
Especially after trade week. Oh, we're going to get into that, y'all. Buckle in. Stamkos placed second in the NHL with 4 goals and 4 assists, also producing multiple points in each of his 3 outings, as the Predators recorded a perfect week. Probably their first of the fucking season, because they've been playing like ass. He tallied 1 goal and 2 assists, his second 3-point effort of the season, in a 6-3 win versus the Boston Bruins. Stamkos then posted a pair of assists, including the 600th of his career, and a 5-3 victory over the Seattle Kraken. He closed the week with his 14th career hat trick, capped by his 14th career overtime goal, and a 3-2 win versus the Chicago Blackhawks. The 35-year-old Stamkos, a 2-time Stanley Cup champion and Maurice Rocket Richard Trophy winner, has played in 63 total games this season, ranking among Nashville's top performers in game-winning goals, first with 6, power play goals, first with 10, goals, second with 21, points, third with 41, and power play points, fourth with 15. Oh, and assists, fifth with 20. Shout out to Steven. Our first star of the week makes a lot of sense. It's Nathan MacKinnon, center for the Colorado Avalanche. MacKinnon topped the NHL with 4 goals and 5 assists, posting multiple points in each of his 3 appearances to lift the Avalanche into 3rd place in the Central Division on the strength of a 5-game winning streak dating back to February 26th. He collected a pair of assists in a 4-1 victory over Pittsburgh Penguins. MacKinnon then notched his 10th career 5-point performance and 3rd so far this season, with 2 goals, 3 assists, and a 7-3 win versus the San Jose Sharks. He finished the week with 2 goals, including his 69th career game winner and a 7-4 victory against the Toronto Maple Leafs to reach the 100-point milestone for the 3rd straight campaign. The 29-year-old reigning Hart Memorial Trophy and Ted Lindsay Award winner, who is 1 point shy of 1,000 for his career, which I think is wrong now, maybe? Yeah, that's wrong now. He officially has 1,000 now.
He does have 1,000.
He didn't have it as of the time that they posted this because this was Monday, but then they played a game and now he's gotten his 1,000 points.
As of when this was posted that same night.
Fucking edit that shit. Anyway, he paces the NHL with 27 goals and 73 assists through 64 total contests so far this season. He also sits among the season's league leaders in assists, first with 73, even strength assists, first with 48, even strength points, first with 67, power play assists, second with 25, power play points, second with 33, and shots on goal, second with 260. Shout out to Nate. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I know that we normally talk about the Naughty Boys in a much longer segment later on in the show, but we wanted to talk about this one specifically now because it's kind of like really big news and deserves its own portion, and then we can address anything else later. So, Danger, do you want to take us away with our suspension news?
I do. On Monday, March 10th, which was yesterday as of time of recording, the NHL announced that Aaron Ekblad was suspended for 20 games without pay for violating the terms of the NHL-NHLPA Performance-Enhancing Substances Program. Under the terms of the collective bargaining agreement, the suspension to the Florida Panthers defenseman is accompanied by a mandatory referral to the NHL-NHLPA program for substance abuse and for behavioral health for evaluation and possible treatment. With the Panthers only having 18 regular season games left, Ekblad will not be eligible to return until the 3rd game of the first round of the Eastern Conference games. He released a statement saying, as the NHL announced, I've been suspended for violating the Performance Enhancing Substances Program. The news that I had failed a random drug test was a shock. Ultimately, I made a mistake by taking something to help me recover from recent injuries without first checking with proper medical and team personnel. I've let my teammates, the Panthers organization, and our great fans down. For that, I am truly sorry. I've accepted responsibility for my mistake and will be fully prepared to return to my team when my suspension is over. I have learned a hard lesson and cannot wait to be back with my teammates. Ekblad was selected by Florida with the number 1 pick in 2014, and obviously the NHL draft. He has 33 points, 3 goals, 30 assists, and a plus 11 rating in 56 games this season. He plays on the top defensive pairing with Gustav Forsling. The Panthers, who have won 6 games in a row, are currently in first place in the Atlantic Division. So that's a huge loss for the Panthers, rounding out the end of their season. I don't think they're going to, be at too much of a disadvantage, being that they are in first place, and I think they are 4 points ahead of Toronto.
Yeah,
who I think is in second place, if I remember correctly.
2 points.
2 points. Okay.
No.
So I thought it said 4, but that article might be slightly old.
Yeah, I believe Florida lost on Monday as well.
Okay. So yeah, huge loss. Definitely an interesting suspension of 18 games. I wish I had more specific information on it, for sure.
20 games.
But again,
20 games.
20 games, sorry.
Yeah.
They have 18 games left. That's where my brain went.
This is a really big deal for the NHL, because unlike other sports that you see PED suspensions in very frequently, baseball, football. It doesn't happen in the NHL. It doesn't happen so much so that the last time a player was suspended for performance enhancing or banned substances was Nate Schmidt in 2018. Was the last time this happened.
Yeah, it was. It happens more frequently with people like Evgeny Kuznetsov who are just doing coke, which is
Doing
not a
coke,
performance-enhancing
yeah.
drug. It's just a bad
I was
idea.
gonna say it's like
bad-
there was
yeah, bad
somebody I
substance.
thought last year that got suspended for it.
It was Kuznetsov, I believe.
Not for performance.
Bad
Kuzi,
substance.
did he get suspended last year? I don't think it was last year. I think it was a while ago. But
Year
Well,
before.
Kuzi got suspended in the. Was he the one in
He
the
has a-
off season?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah, he had
Yeah.
that weird.
No, Valerie Nikushkin.
Yeah, Nikushkin's
Yeah.
been
Was the
suspended
off-season.
like twice.
yeah, and those
Yeah.
are all for just like illicit drugs. We don't really see
Yeah.
performance. We're not baseball over here, so we don't really see
that was-
performance-enhancing drugs.
And it's a bigger hit when it's someone who brings so much productivity of Aaron Ekblad,
Yeah.
especially with the current upgrades that team found, which we'll talk about a little later. This is a really big hit to them. And I
It also-
respect sorry, I was to say I respect Aaron for outright just saying, I fucked up. I didn't check to see if this was okay to take, and
Yeah.
I made my bed, now I gotta lay in it. You know, I respect him for
So-
not making a big deal about it.
Yeah, I think two things of that. I think number one, it sucks because this means that he is out for the first couple of games of their playoff run, which could put them in a vulnerable situation. And this is also just before or just after the trade deadline. So they couldn't have done anything to potentially make a trade to boost their postseason ability, which also sucks timing wise for that. I think while it was great, I agree that it's great to take it and be like, hey, I did this. I put my teammates in a shitty position. It was fine. I do gotta say, I kind of call bullshit on it being like, oh, I didn't check to see if it was something in what I was taking that I shouldn't have done. That I think is a fucking cop out. And I'm just gonna call it like I say it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But like, you are professional athletes. For the most part, you should know what you are able to put into your body. You have doctors on call, like literally all the fucking time.
Right.
Team
To say
doctors
that
know
you
the
just
list.
didn't think before taking it is crazy.
Yeah.
Especially with where you are in the season. I have a hard time believing that he didn't think to check. And I have a stronger time believing that he didn't think he was going to get caught. I don't believe that it was for the purpose of performance enhancing. I do believe that it was because he was trying to recover from something. And he was trying to speed along his recovery. And like, I'm just saying like recovery from like a cold or something. I'm not saying he was doing it to enhance his performance. Let me be
It's not
very
like a
clear with that.
Julian Edelman
I just think
situation.
the whole like, oh, I just didn't think about checking it is bullshit.
I wish that they would tell us what he got suspended for doing. Like, what was the drug? You know what I mean?
think
Because like,
due to the CBA, that's not that's for like the Players Association side was decided in the CBA that's not something that they want out in the public. I get it. I agree with you. I'd like to know like kind of what it was, but also at the same time, if it's a private thing, I'm okay with not knowing at the same time too.
Yeah,
I mean,
there
'cause
are
I
very
think
valid
we would be
reasons.
able to have like a better judgment on like his call. Like, should he or should he not have, had we known what it is? You know what I mean? Because it's like,
Right.
Like if it was coke, it's like, dude, okay, you should be smarter than that. But
Well,
if
so
it
it
was
can't be
something
coke because that would be that would not be performance enhancing.
Yeah,
Right,
he
but
was
so
just
this
like
was
as
a
an
the
example,
player
like-
assistance program.
Right,
Yeah.
but like as an example, like if it was something like, fine, we'll say like weed, so he could relax and take a hit better or something like that. Like, as opposed to like, was he doing like oxys, so he could
I
get through
think
the
more
pain?
along
Like
the lines
what?
of it could have been something like a cough medicine that had like codeine or something in it that wasn't necessarily cleared, because I know the NBA has gotten super strict on a lot of that stuff, and players have had to like completely change like cold medicines, flu medicines, ibuprofens.
See, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if he accidentally did NyQuil and then got tested the next day, and they're like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, okay, like, he made an honest mistake. Like, I mean, I take
But
friggin' NyQuil. You know what I mean? It's
again,
not like
like,
Yeah.
you would think
yeah.
about that. You know?
I agree with D
But I
in
do
that
think-
sense. You're a professional athlete. Fucking, you should know, and you have doctors at your disposal for the team that give you the opportunities to see what they know what you can and can't take. So, like, yeah, I
Right.
can agree. You
Well,
should
it's
be
like just
way
throw
more.
a text out there before you put anything in your body.
Yeah.
Well-
Anything is what I would do if I'm getting paid that much money to play a sport professionally.
That's fair.
Before I take
Right.
anything,
That's fair.
I'm throwing
think-
a text out to say, "Hey, can I take this?"
I think it's also really indicative of what the truth might be, the fact that they suspended him 20 games and that
Exactly.
he's not fighting it.
Right.
If that was
Yeah.
a true, like, I done goofed, the bottle said NyQuil, no habit forming, whatever, and it turns out that thing was loaded with fucking whatever, then I think he would be fighting it. But he's taking a 20-game suspension, which is not nothing.
Right.
And so I
Yeah.
think that there's obviously a conversation that happened between him and the council before it was made public,
Yeah, and I know per the
because
CBA,
he knew.
the 20-game suspension is for first time. That is the automatic first time. If you pop for that PED, like if you hit that, it's an automatic 20-game for your first suspension, and then it goes up and farther the more times you get caught. So it's the baseline. But I can agree with
It
you.
is the
that, like, that's a
baseline,
whole.
but I think
we're
that
not
if-
going to fight
yeah.
this.
Yeah, I think that if it really truly was a genuine, honest mistake, then you probably would be trying to be like, okay, I know it's the baseline is 20, but here's a situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that whatever was found, it was like, that there's no fighting it. Take the fucking 20.
Mhm.
They'll allow you to put out whatever story you want to put out because they cannot issue what it actually was.
Right.
Right.
Take it, run with it, move on with your life, and like get fucking help and stop doing that. You know what I mean?
Now,
Yeah.
my question is, and this is kind of a subtopic off of it, is since he's not getting paid, what do they do with his money? Because
So it
like
goes to
goes-
the player's assistant.
I was going to
It
say, I
does?
believe it
Okay,
goes to the
cool.
Player
Yeah.
Assistance
Yeah.
Fund.
because I was gonna say if it doesn't go to like the player's assistant fund, they should donate it to a charity or give his money back.
Yeah.
And that way, it's
No,
not
it goes
being
to
wasted.
the player's assistance fund.
Which
Cool.
I
That's
Which
awesome.
Which
actually-
is why, like,
Mal-
I'll throw out the numbers when we talk about it later, too,
Yeah.
of how much of his salary is forfeited. That then goes
Yeah.
to the player's assistance.
Yeah.
I'm
Fun.
glad that the price that he's paying is at least going to benefit someone down the line.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hope that Ekblad is taking whatever happens seriously. If this was just a major, oops, I forgot that there are performance enhancing drugs in this nighttime coughing medicine kind of a situation.
Yeah.
I hope that then going forward, he does text the team doctor anytime he wants to take as much as a fucking Tylenol. Like, I hope he understands or gets like a list of things you can take and things that are absolutely a no-go, because this kind of mistake could end up costing his team big time.
Or
Florida
hell, at
is
this point,
first in the-
raid
in
his
the
friggin'
Atlantic.
medicine cabinet and take the
Yeah.
shit that he can't have. You know what I mean?
So Florida is first right now in the Atlantic. Toronto's 2 points behind them.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
Florida ends up dropping a shit ton of games in these last 18 or whatever it is, last 18, then we could see Toronto pull ahead. And as we all know, seeding is very, very important going into
Yes.
the playoffs. You want that number one seat because it gives you the most promise of an easy run. Obviously, it's sports and anything could happen. Underdog
Right.
stories, we've seen it all before. First round exit for Boston, many a time. First round exit for the Caps, many a fucking time. So, anything could happen even with being in first. But he has put his team in a terrible position heading into the playoffs
Mhm.
with no
yeah.
option for recovery because of when it came, because the trade deadline had already passed.
And they're a
So,
threat to win the cup again this year. So it's like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very reminiscent of the Valerian Nichushkin situation with
With Colorado.
Colorado, and that hurt them bad enough that they got bumped out of the playoffs. So
yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, I feel for Ekblad. I obviously hope, actually, well, Oh, that's tricky because we're gonna have to talk about some trade stuff with that. But
Mm-hmm.
I hope it doesn't affect Florida. Would be kind of funny if it does, but then also I would feel really bad. Very mixed emotions on that one. But I can imagine that Ekblad would feel terrible if this one fuck up contributed to a losing streak we've never seen the likes of before. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of the money that Ekblad is giving up to the Player Assistance Fund, Maul, you have a story for us about a player who has entered into the Player Assistance Program, who his treatment will be sponsored by
Funded
Aaron
by
Ekblad.
Ekblad, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the Utah Hockey Club's goalie Connor Ingram has re-entered the NHL's Player Assistant Program Sunday, 3/9 of this year, saying that he's not been himself since his mother passed away of breast cancer in the early December of last year. Um, Ingram is quoted saying, "At this point in my life, I need to put my mental health and take proper care and the time that I need away to come back to be 100%. Through many views of the program as a resource for substance abuse, I want to recognize it for all that they do, and I am once again privileged to have access to their network of world-class health professionals to hopefully avoid long-term negative effects of putting your health second. With the program's assistance, I look forward to getting the medical help I need and returning with a happy, healthy lifestyle." So Ingram, who is 27 years old, has spent time in the program before, back in 2021, when he played for the Nashville Predators. He has since spoken out publicly about why he went into the program, and it was for his undiagnosed obsessive compulsive disorder, which led him to drink to cope with the anxiety he had, which led him into the program in the first place. And after completing the program, he ended up winning the Bill Masterson Memorial Trophy last season for his perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey, which is awesome to see the turnaround that he had, because
Yeah.
someone who's had anxiety, that's not something that it's hard to explain to someone who's never been through it, and for him to be able to utilize the program and to come back and to be recognized for his dedication, like, that's fantastic. So I also want to talk a little bit about the NHL Player Assistant Program. For those of you who don't know a lot about it, the program was created to assist players and their families in dealing with mental health, substance abuse, and other issues that they may be going through. The program gives players and their family access to a confidential phone line, and counselors are available in every league city. So this isn't something that you call and it's like a global spot. Each city that the team has their own dedicated team on hand to help with players and families as needed. There's no set time a player must spend in the program if they enter it, and players will continue to be paid while they step away from hockey and focus on themselves, which is fantastic.
Yep.
Sorry, my son's getting too loud. Um, okay, so the other caveat, though, is no player can leave the program once they entered it until they've been cleared by those who are running the program. Due to the privacy being the main concern of the program, the behind-the-scenes operation has never been documented about what they do or what they do with the players or their family, which I can respect that.
Yep.
And the people's reason for entering the program is not released. Some players have chosen to speak out after they've left the program about why they entered, Ingram being one of them, to kind of shed light on what they were going through and to help bring awareness to different mental disorders and diseases and stuff that people deal with. Now, the program has 4 stages. Stage 1 is your entrance into the program, and there's no penalty for it. Stage 2, and these are the stages of going through the program. So stage 2 is if you violate stage 1, it triggers a suspension without pay while the player undergoes treatment.
Which we saw
Stage
with
3.
Mikushkin last year.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, stage 3 is if you violate stage 2, this triggers a suspension lasting a minimum of 6 months, followed by an application for reinstatement. And the 4th and final stage is the violation of stage 3 triggers a suspension lasting a minimum of 1 year, with reinstatement not guaranteed.
Yep.
So they offer help to these players, but they also hold them accountable, which I think is
Which
a
is important.
fantastic thing to do, because it's like, we're not just here for you to get paid and do nothing. You need to go through the program, you need to work the program, and you need to try to re-enter into the NHL. And I think that that's good that they have a very big focus on not making it a lifelong thing. It's, hey, what can we do to help you? How can we get you through it? How can we teach you to cope with it and move forward? And I think that that's an awesome way to look at the program. This program was created in 1996 and has been used by players ever since. We at Pucked Up wish Ingram all the love and support he needs to get his mental health back to 100%. And we look forward to seeing him come back soon, better than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't agree more. I mean, Robin Lehner, if you really think about it, is kind of the main in the past few years to really publicly speak out about not only his own mental health struggles, but the benefits of the player assistance program, which has gotten a lot of negative feedback from older players that were a part of the early on version of it. And the NHL, I commend them for all of the criticism we give them. This is hands down the best thing they do, and the fact that other sports leagues are starting to implement this sort of help for their players. It's very important to, I think, all of us who here deal with our own mental health stuff, and to have the sport care about their players enough. And Connor Ingram's a great guy, obviously winning the Masterson Trophy last year at the Masterson Award. You hate to see someone as nice as him go through this, but I'm very happy that he was able to come to terms with it, take care of himself first, and hopefully come back better than ever.
And we saw Patrick Laine last year speak out about it because he was admitted for mental health issues as well. Something I thought was interesting is that Ingram is the second player announced to enter the program this season, following Detroit Red Wings' Jack Campbell, who went in much, much earlier in the season. Ingram has been in twice this season, so whether or not he counts as 2 or 3, the funds are for 3 enrollees, basically. Last year, 5 players took part in the player assistance program over the course of the entire season, which is the same number of players who participated over the previous 3 years combined, which I think just goes to say that people are becoming more and more comfortable with actually taking the league up on, like, hey, I'm in some trouble, I need help. They deal with issues such as alcohol and drug abuse, mental health, sleeping problems, and gambling addiction. Gambling addiction, I think, is one that we are going to start seeing, whether or not the players ever announce that's what it's for. With how often we like BetMGM is a sponsor for my team, and at every single opportunity, you see what the lines are for any given, an over-under of how many people end up in the penalty box after a line brawl breaks out. Like, then the things that people allow you to bet on. So I'm really glad that that is part of the player assistance fund as well. And Connor, it's definitely one of those things where you entered it earlier in the season and you thought you were better, but grief especially, and all mental illness and mental health struggles are not linear. You can be great and then backslide. It's just the unfortunate nature of the brain.
And it's
okay.
It's okay to
totally
go in a second time. No one thinks any less of him, Nope. I think I think people have more respect for him now than they did before.
Well, and I think the difference too is with like Valery Nikushkin, who violated phase 1, and that's why he was put into phase 2, was because he went in for drug treatment and then was found to still be taking drugs. And so it wasn't necessarily by his choice that he was placed back in. Yeah. With Connor, he went in one time because he was struggling with mental health. He has not violated phase 1. It was because of the struggle he is facing, it was determined that more help was needed. Yeah. And so I think that that's a really important distinction to make here. And even if you are someone who is facing addiction, if that struggle gets too intense and you want to use again and you are in the NHL, make that call. You will not be in violation for making the call to ask for extra help. You are only in violation if you are trying to hide it, is my understanding. I could be wrong.
Correct. But I believe that's
Yeah. But it's a really incredible resource, and I'm so glad that all the people, I mean, we're going to talk about Sheldon Keefe, who got fined. He's paying into this fund. Aaron Ekblad just paid into this fund, and it's all so that people like Connor can get the help that they need.
And I'll be honest, like, I'm really glad that the players in the NHL are okay with posting articles like this, because it shows the success and the utilization of the program. but it also humanizes the players and helps us remember
Yeah.
that, yes, they're superstars and we idolize them when they're on TV, but at the end of the day, they're traveling, they're away from their families, they're away from their friends, they're away from their loved ones.
Yeah.
They deal with so much more than what we get to see.
This is their
This
job.
kind of helps us. This helps us. This grounds us as the viewers and the fan base to remind us that they're just like anyone else.
Yeah.
And I give the utmost respect to the players that, like Connor, speak out about why they utilize their program and how it was successful for them. Because I think that also inspires others to feel more comfortable to step into the program themselves. And hopefully we will see more people take advantage of this as time goes on.
Well, and look at the
Right.
NBA. We talk about the past couple weeks with the Four Nations face-off and how the NBA can learn from like the play style and like the excitement of the play. The NBA could also learn from the player assistance program. The NFL damn sure can learn from the player assistance program. Like other leagues, they're slowly implementing it, but it's not good enough. And you're seeing the hockey community rally around these players, even if they don't play for their favorite team. They're rallying around them because it's the knowledge of knowing that A, the help is there, and B, that the players are at a point now where they're able to recognize that sort of problem within themselves, and they don't feel afraid to be open about it. Within other sports, there is that fear of being open about that sort of stuff. So I really genuinely hope that this is a sign for everyone to start getting to this level, because it's a big deal. It's a very big deal.
It is.
100%. All right. With that, I was gonna say let's head into some happy news, but I'm gonna be so fucking for real, bro. There was
Buckle
some
in.
real bummers here at the trade deadline. Chris, do you want to update us with where we stand from the last time we were able to
Okay.
talk about our trades?
Everybody do me a favor, grab your snacks, grab a drink, buckle in. There's a good amount. We're going to start with March 5th. The Florida Panthers acquire goalie Vitek Vanacek from the San Jose Sharks for forward Patrick Giles. This was not a surprise. Vanacek is going to do way better with Florida than San Jose, and they made room for him, which we'll talk about in a few. Tampa Bay Lightning acquire forwards Oliver Bjorkstrand and Yanni Gord, defenseman Kyle O'Coin, a 5th-round pick in the 2026 draft in a 3-team trade involving Seattle and Detroit. Seattle acquires forward Michael Easmont, a 2nd-round pick in the 2025 draft, a conditional 1st-round pick in the 2026, and a conditional first round in the 2027 draft. Detroit acquires a conditional 4th rounder in 2025. This whole trade is basically between Tampa and Seattle. And I think just the little extras here for whatever Detroit wanted to be a part of. San Jose Sharks acquire defenseman Vincent Desjardins from the Pittsburgh Penguins for a 5th-round pick in 2028. Nashville Predators acquire forward Michael Bunting and a 4th-round pick in 2026 from the Pittsburgh Penguins for defenseman Luke Shen and forward Tommy Novak. The Florida Panthers acquire forward Nico Sturm and a 7th-round pick in 2027 from San Jose for a 4th-rounder in 2026. The New Jersey Devils acquire, and I called this one, defenseman Brian Dumoulin from the Anaheim Ducks for forward Herman Traff and a 2nd-round pick in 2025. If you guys go back to last week, we talked about the preview. I said that Anaheim would probably trade him. It wasn't working out. Winnipeg Jets acquire goalie Chris Driedger from the Florida Panthers for goalie Capo Kakinen. Vegas Golden Knights acquire Riley Smith from the New York Rangers for forward Brendan Breeson and a 3rd-round pick in 2025. This is Riley Smith's 2nd go-around in Vegas. The New York Rangers acquired defenseman Carson Soucy from Vancouver Canucks for a 3rd-rounder in 2025. The Minnesota Wild acquire forward Justin Brazeau from the Boston Bruins for forwards Merritt Kuznetsov?
Wait, sorry, where were we?
Kuznetsov. Sorry,
Kuznetsov?
Kuznetsov.
Okay.
He had said when we first brought him in that you could just call him Dino.
Dino, okay.
But we took to Kuzi instead.
It's a very hardcore name.
Yeah.
It's
also
Murat.
Jacob Lauko was included and a 6th rounder in the 2026 draft.
Yeah.
Now some of the bigger names. Colorado Avalanche acquire forwards Brock Nelson and William Dufour, I think. From the New York Islanders for forwards Callum Ritchie, defenseman Oliver Kylington, a first-round pick in 2026 or 2027, and a third-rounder in 2028. That pick depends on, I believe, placements for the Colorado Avalanche in the playoffs. Was shocked as shit to see Brock Nelson go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, it was flipped. Or Colorado flipped that, or not Colorado, I'm sorry. But the New York Islanders flipped that. The Anaheim Ducks acquired defenseman Oliver Kylington from the New York Islanders for future considerations. Again, we'd like to thank Future Considerations for all you've done for Anaheim. Always going to be a Ducks legend. Edmonton Oilers acquired defenseman Jake Wallman from San Jose Sharks for a conditional first-round pick in 2026, and forward Carl Berglund. The Washington Capitals acquire forward Anthony Beauvillier from the Pittsburgh Penguins for a second-round pick in 2025. This one shocked the shit out of me. The Ottawa Senators acquire forward Dylan Cousins, defenseman Dennis Gilbert, and a second-round pick in the 2026 draft from the Buffalo Sabres for forward Josh Norris and defenseman Jacob Bernard Docker. It is mind-blowing to me that the Sabres, after paying Dylan Cousins, we're just going to trade him. I'm also shocked that the Sens parted with Josh Norris. But with someone the caliber and talent of Dylan Cousins, you're going to have to give something up for that.
Yeah, you do.
That one I was like, holy shit, they just traded Cousins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually pretty close to the end here. The LA Kings have acquired forward Andrei Kuzmenko and a 7th rounder in 2025 from the Philadelphia Flyers for a 3rd round pick in 2027. The Winnipeg Jets acquired defenseman Luke Shen from the Pittsburgh Penguins for a 2nd rounder in 2026 and a 4th rounder in 2027. This next trade I've been waiting for fucking ever. The Detroit Red Wings acquire Peter Mrazek and forward Craig Smith from Chicago Blackhawks for forward Joe Velino. I've been clamoring for Chicago to get rid of Mrazek for fucking forever. A team that.
But why Detroit picked him up, I don't know.
Well, he played for Detroit, so Detroit isn't really the best with good goaltenders. I mean,
yeah.
A trade I was waiting for: the Columbus Blue Jackets acquire forward Luke Kunin from the San Jose Sharks for a 4th rounder in 2025. Columbus making that push. The Winnipeg Jets acquire forward Brandon Tanev from the Seattle Kraken for a 2nd round pick in 2027. I know.
Makes me sad.
That only means that we're going to get a fucking classic picture from Brandon with the Winnipeg
he started out
Jets.
as a Jet, too.
Yeah.
So.
Kind
of returning home there.
I know. The Toronto Maple Leafs acquire forward Scott Lofton, a 4th round pick in 2025 and a 6th round pick in 2027 from the Philadelphia Flyers for in exchange for a 1st round pick in 2027 and forward Nikita Grembikin, which is a nice pickup for the Maple Leafs, actually addressing problems that they have for once instead of, oh, did you see this guy could score goals? The New Jersey Devils acquired defenseman Dennis Kowalski from the New York Islanders for forward Adam Beckman. The Colorado Avalanche acquire forward Charlie Coyle and a 5th-round pick in 2026 from the Boston Bruins. In exchange, Boston will get Casey Middlestat, 2 forwards, Casey Middlestat and William Zellers, and a 2nd-round pick in 2025. Buckle up, Bruins fans. I'm about to reissue some pain for you guys for the rest of this fucking list here.
Yeah.
Not just Bruins. Like, I'm not a huge Bruins fan, but this one hurt me even.
Seeing Charlie Coyle get traded was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, all
Coyle
of them.
started well, maybe not started, but Coyle played for us for a long time.
I say he played for you guys for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Colorado Avalanche acquired defenseman Eric Johnson from the Philadelphia Flyers for forward Giovanni Smith. This one should make Ovi's son happy that his name's in the news, but the New York Rangers acquire forward Nicholas Aubé-Kubel from the Buffalo Sabres for defenseman Eric Brandstrom. I'm not sure how to pronounce this next name. Luck. I'm going to try my best. But the Chicago Blackhawks acquire forward Aku Rati and defenseman Victor Soderstrom and Shea Weber, who, mind you, has not played in the league for several years, but is still under contract. All of that went to the Utah Hockey Club for a 5th-round pick in 2026. A name that we've already heard, but this was the one that everyone was tracking. The Dallas Stars acquire forward Mikko Rantanen from the Carolina Hurricanes for forward Logan Stankoven, a conditional 1st-round pick in 2026, a conditional 1st-round pick in 2028, a 3rd-rounder in 2026, and a 3rd-rounder in 2027. Mikko Rantanen also went on to re-sign with the, as part of the trade deal, to re-sign with the Dallas Stars. His contract information...
It's like 8 years or something.
It's where is it? It's an 8-year, I want to say $40 million.
8-year, $96 million contract.
Okay.
So
that was it was very public.
I can't read what the breakdown per year that is, but
yeah, it was very public. He didn't want to play in Carolina.
Yeah. He lasted 13 games and then was like, "All right, give me out."
The New Jersey Devils acquire forwards Cody Glass and John Gruden from the Pittsburgh Penguins for forwards Chase Stillman, Max Graham, and a 3rd-round pick in 2027. The Carolina Hurricanes acquire forward Mark Janikowski from the Nashville Predators for a 5th-round pick in 2026. The New Jersey Devils acquire forward Daniel Sprong from the Seattle Kraken for a 7th-rounder in 2026.
Good move.
The Boston Bruins acquire defenseman Henry Jokiharju from the Buffalo Sabres for a 4th-rounder in 2026. The Ottawa Senators acquire forwards Fabian Zetterlund and Tristan Robbins, a 4th-round pick in 2025, from the San Jose Sharks for forwards Zach Ostapchuk, and Noah Gregor, plus a 2nd-rounder in 2025. The Pittsburgh Penguins acquired defenseman Connor Timmins and forward Connor Dewar from the Toronto Maple Leafs for a 5th-round pick in 2025. We're almost done, you guys, I promise.
He's having a snack.
The New Jersey Devils acquire Mark McLaughlin from the Boston Bruins for forward Daniil Misual, I think. I'm not familiar with him. We're going to skip over 2 of these to bring them in because they're kind of the bigger ones. The Toronto Maple Leafs acquire forward Reese Johnson from the Minnesota Wild for future considerations. We'd like to congratulate and thank the future considerations for all they did for Minnesota. But the 2 ones that kind of shocked everyone. The Toronto Maple Leafs acquired defenseman Brandon Carlo from the Boston Bruins for forward Fraser Minton, a conditional first-round pick in 2026 and a fourth-round pick in 2025. And the biggest shock out of anything, go ahead and pat yourself on the back right now, D, but the Florida Panthers have acquired forward Brad Marchand from the Boston Bruins in exchange for a conditional second-round pick in 2027.
I just have to say with this that I knew it was happening. I knew Marchie was gone. I cannot reveal my sources. I don't have sources. It was a gut instinct. I knew he was leaving. I could never in a million years have told you it would be as disrespectful as a conditional second round pick in 2027 for your team captain.
For a
That is
16-year loyal
disrespect.
player. Mm.
Especially when it came out later, because Boston put out later, which I also think is added disrespect, that they just could not come to terms. They offered him an extension for $3 million a year, and he said no. Again, we're talking about your captain. You're not willing to pay your captain $3 million a year.
Well,
I know Marshy's getting up there in age, but it's not like he's not producing, and it's not like his leadership still wasn't of value in the locker room. So the disrespect on disrespect on disrespect with this trade is truly mind-boggling.
But, are you really shocked with the public contract dispute with Swayman at the beginning of the year?
I mean,
this is none of this is surprising me. That they're
I thought it was more buttoned up, but I thought that they were more buttoned up than the Rangers. The Rangers have just been in a toxic shitstorm media-wise the entire season. And Boston has been able to get away with doing a lot of stuff, apparently, because everybody's focus is on New York. I mean, I'm not surprised because, again, I called it. I knew it was happening. I just didn't think that it was going to be for a conditional second round pick in 2027. That's 2 fucking years from now.
Mm-hmm.
This is your captain. And not to mention, you're adding in, then they also traded away Carlo, and they also traded in Charlie Coyle.
It's almost like Boston has given up on the rest of the season. They realized that they're not going to do anything for the rest of the season.
They just blew up their entire team.
Start rebuilding.
I'm okay with the Coyle trade, though, because if you think about it, that trade to Colorado gifted them Casey Middlestat, who is a fantastic talent that is going to help them on the forward side.
I mean, I just dropped him because he's underperforming everybody else in the forwards category by 20 points.
Colorado has struggled very much so this year in the scoring category outside of Nathan McKinnon.
But maybe this will be the team that turns it around. Obviously, we've seen that in Washington with Pierre-Luc Dubois, who
look at Jacob
people
Trouba.
were talking about such shit about him.
Perfect example.
Yeah,
Trouba
exactly. So maybe this is
with Anaheim. He looks
what he needs.
He looks fine.
Yeah, but still, I mean, when you put all of that together, Coyle, Carlo, Marchand, and the only thing of note that you can say you got back was Casey Middlestat. Fraser Minton is not a name that we're hearing lighten up the fucking scoreboard.
No.
Or bodying people. You know what I mean? That is not a household name. So what did you get back other than they got a 4th round pick this year?
And Boston has now eliminated or removed or lost every single player on their team who was part of the 2011 Stanley Cup winning team.
Yeah. I mean,
everyone is gone.
At least with the Carlo or the Coyle trade, you get a second rounder in 2025. You get a first rounder in 2026 from Carlo, which granted it's not going to help
conditional.
You immediate. Yeah, it's conditional, but you're at least getting between those trades, you at least get a 4th rounder and a 2nd rounder for 2025. It's not nothing, it's something, but for what they gave away, I feel like Sweeney should be a little embarrassed because
should look over his shoulder in Boston because he pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And my thing is
just unbelievable. Shocking.
Yeah. My thing is these are those mixed emotions I was telling you about earlier. I want Marchand to come out and play so fucking well that Boston's like, bro, what
Hell
the
yeah.
fuck?
Just rip
I
off
want
a
them to
Hattie
You
win
alley.
had that in the
tonight.
tank,
At
but at the
time of
same
recording, I
time,
want them to win. I want
At this-
Florida to win.
at the same time, my Washington Capitals have a real shot, and I don't want anyone to fuck with that. So if Florida could just choke in like the second round of the playoffs, I would be eternally grateful.
And I really like that
Please and thank
pickup
you.
from Beauvillier. I really like that move for
I do
Washington.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We
a
didn't
nice
need to
pickup.
do a whole lot.
No, you guys were fine.
Yeah. Which is a rare position to be in.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, good on a lot of teams for kind of like getting rid of a lot of stuff. But again, even with the Marchand thing, it gets even better for Florida.
Yeah.
They have to pay him $156,000 of his contract. Boston's
Mhm.
paying the rest. They have like $3.5 million in dead cap from that contract. Like,
And if I remember correctly, Marchand had some restrictions as to where he would go
yeah,
as well.
he had a
So
modified
Florida is
no-trade
one of the few
clause.
teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what though?
So
Florida just released a video though on their recently updated training facility, and my God, I will say Marchand
It looks so
upgraded
nice.
because
yeah.
that training facility is so wild. It has golf cart parking. It's Florida. You expect that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But it's
right.
just like, so at least he's going somewhere where he gets to enjoy warm weather year round.
Right.
No longer has to deal with Boston winters or
Yeah.
traffic.
His whole family is there, dude. Like
Yeah.
his life is in Boston and now
And it's
he's
been
having
there.
to pack up.
Mhm.
And for someone who played your whole career, again, I think that I understand that the team has got to do what's best for the team. But at the same time, you have to understand that you are not engendering the best play in your players when you show this kind of disloyalty.
Correct.
Right.
Right? Like if I'm a player in Boston, I am not motivated to win you a cup. I'm motivated to win me a cup.
Yep.
And nobody else. I will not put in extra work for you. I will not do anything above and beyond for the organization when you show that the organization doesn't care about what I've put in. When you have a coach or a captain who's been there 16 years and you wouldn't let him retire a fucking Bruin.
Well,
That's
and
crazy.
like you said, you pointed out the whole family aspect. I mean, he's from, I think, Nova Scotia, so all of his family
Yeah.
used to be within drive-in distance because Nova
Mhm.
Scotia is only like a 10-hour drive away, which isn't bad. Now they
Well, no,
have to travel to the other side of the country,
Yeah.
another
Long-ass flight,
country,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, he built a family there, and he released a post in the Boston Globe or whatever the newspaper is after.
Boston Globe.
Yeah, essentially saying like I will always be a Bostonian, like you guys are my friends, my family, my place. I may not have gotten to leave on my terms, but that will always be my home away from home, and I think that speaks on his character.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like he'll be
Yeah, we
universally
give Marchie
cheered tonight.
a lot of shit, but he's
'Cause he's a fucking
a
weirdo.
respectable player.
He's a
Yes,
fucking
but he's
weirdo.
hilarious. And
He is, but the whole licking people,
Guys-
him and Fleury, the two of them just
Him and
can't be
Fleury,
left
yeah.
alone in a room together, you know?
no, God no.
Leave
Um,
that shit mic'd up.
oh yeah.
I
no,
mean-
they're hilarious mic'd up.
Yeah,
But it's
you
just
don't
one of
wanna
those
see him
things where
get
it's like-
fucked
It's
like
just- it's
that,
sad.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I was
Um,
talking to some of my friends locally about it, and they're all like, "Oh, you know what he should do to fuck them over? He should just retire right now." I don't think he's going to.
No, 'cause he's got a
No.
shot
But-
to win a fucking
He loves a
cup.
game.
He's not gonna go
But
anywhere.
yeah,
Are you
it's just-
shitting me?
I hope that when it does come time for him to retire, there can be something negotiated where he can come back and retire as a Bruin
A one-day
um,
deal to retire with the Bruins.
if he wants
Mhm.
to. I mean, he may not want to because of the disrespect he just got. I mean, was he really asking for that much more money? And with the salary caps being increased next year,
Mm-hmm.
could you not have thrown Marchand a bone to keep a legend within Boston in Boston?
You'd
But
think, right?
the Boston way is throw away the greats, and that's how
Shit
they've
down
been the
their
last couple of
throats.
years.
I
Yeah.
want to commend your team, though, Maul. What's the one big problem that the
Yeah.
Toronto Maple Leafs have right now?
Oh my God, their
Their
defense.
ability to win.
Okay, and what did they do? They went
They
out and
picked up
got
a
Brandon
defense.
Carlo
Yeah.
because
That's a
like
huge
every
addition.
recent game, in every
Yeah.
recent game, like the Leafs start hard and they come out like what we saw the other day when they played against Utah. They had a huge lead and then gave up 3 unanswered goals. They still won the game, but it's like, why do you guys have such like, you know, ebb and flow with it? Like, just stay on the ball the whole game. So hopefully, with the defense they just picked up, we won't see that. We'll
Yeah.
see a strong team finish out the rest of the season.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. With that, I think we've given all of our thoughts. Well, not all of them. We've given all the thoughts that you guys want to hear about the Marchand trade. But now I want to ask a very important question. It would be our question of the week. Who do we think won this trade deadline? I'll start with you, Danger.
Overall, it's hard to say. I mean, Dallas with Miko is a great trade.
That was big.
The Wild got a decent player. He looks like a fucking huge dude. Being 6'6".
I think that's what they were missing too. Was that big, like the big physical guy? I think it's really all
Yeah,
that
we
Minnesota was
needed
missing.
somebody
this year.
like a Delorier, and yeah.
Just a big physical presence.
Yeah. I think the Panthers getting Marchand and losing Ekblad, like, that's, I mean, big
And
for
Seth
them.
Jones.
And Seth
Yep.
Jones.
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams came out with good trades. I don't know that I can speak on who won over all of the teams that, made good decisions this round.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Fair.
Mal,
what about you?
I mean, I'm gonna side with my team and say that the Leafs, in my opinion, made a hell of an improvement to the team. I mean, yes, some of their trades were expensive and they did, take salary cap hits to bring on some of these players and stuff like that and work with the deal. But the coach saw the areas that the team was struggling in and focused on addressing those and doing the best by the team. And I think that with how strong the Leafs have been, this is going to propel them even further forward. And I think this is going to give us our best chance in a long time at winning a cup. And again, I want to follow it up with even the Panthers. I think the Panthers did a phenomenal job. Like, the Panthers, the Leafs, the Stars, the Lightning, and the Avalanche, they all focused on what don't we have that we need to be successful and how can we get that. And I think all of those teams really focused on completing the puzzle instead of doing what, again, like I said, the Bruins did, where they're like, we're not going to do anything better this season, so let's focus on rebuilding and hope that we can build a cohesive team for next season. I think that they're focused on now and what can we do today to be successful tomorrow instead of essentially giving up. So I say those teams did very well, but I'm proud of the Leafs more than anything for finally understanding their areas of weakness and correcting it.
That's a fair
Fair.
take.
That's great. Yeah.
that's very fair.
Chris, what about you?
I'm going to say it because not a lot of analysts have really talked about it, but I think the Penguins won. Listen to their 2025 draft results. This is what they're going to be working with in the draft in the offseason. 2 first-round picks, 1 second-round pick, 3 third-round picks, 1 fourth-rounder, 2 fifth-rounders, 1 sixth-rounder, and 1 seventh-rounder. Meaning, we gave Kyle Dubas so much shit last offseason because the Penguins didn't really do much with what they have currently, and there's no reason that this team should be bad. They went out, they made the moves, they made some tough decisions, moved on from some players, and they garnered draft picks. And that is so important with a team like that who is aging, and we've been talking about forever at this point. How much longer is Malkin going to be there? How much longer is Crosby playing? How much longer is Letang playing? Like, your core is going away soon. And I think making out massively in that scenario is big. Also, big props to teams like the Avalanche who are trying to get better for the playoffs. Big ups to the Blue Jackets for trying to do something. I want to shout out I want to shout out the New York Islanders for making some smart moves and offloading some contract stuff.
Yeah.
I would say biggest loser, if I had to say a loser, is the Bruins or the Jets, because the Jets probably could have done a
More.
little better, but I would definitely say it's the Bruins, because you've collectively given up everything when you're realistically not that far out from the playoff spot. Like, it's still a very reasonable
And how much
shot.
is that going to affect their morale?
Exactly.
By trading market.
Exactly. And think about what we saw with
and
the
their fans
Rangers.
and
Yeah. Look at the Rangers all season. They've been trading. They traded away Capo Caco. They traded away Trouba. They're getting rid of players, and it's
They were really
killed the
close on the
momentum of that
Zibanejad
team.
trade.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and if think about the Maple Leafs, if Mitch Marner was willing to waive his no trade clause, they would have Mikko Rantanen. Like, so the Bruins are only 4 points out of a wild card
That
spot.
had to have been Mitch Marner, though. Like,
you can't.
I think they could have still gotten Mikko if they
if they really tried, but you have to give something up for him, like a player
Oh,
of his caliber. You got to give something.
But it didn't have to be Mitch.
Yeah, unless that's all.
Pittsburgh,
Unless
it's
that's all
hard to say
Carolina
too,
wanted.
because with Pittsburgh, yes, they got a lot of draft picks, but how long is it going to take for them to be beneficial to their team?
So
it could be 5 years before they start to see that turnaround with these young players.
2026,
and while it's a great,
like 3 second rounders, you got 2 second rounders in 2027. Like, they're loaded up the next 3 years for picks. But that's your point is correct.
It's hard to say, and some of those players may not pan out.
It does happen.
Some of those young guys may not cut it in the big leagues, and that's just the unfortunate part. I don't think any of their first through fifth round picks are gonna not pan out, but some later draft picks maybe won't, or they get injured, or God forbid something worse happens. So it's hard to say. They did a lot of moves, but it's, they're obviously moving for a team rebuild for when these older guys retire.
Yeah, they're definitely planning for the future.
But without stacking it with some younger players that have already played in the NHL, they could be putting themselves at a disadvantage later on.
Unless they're waiting for a player.
Not saying they are, but it could.
Like a Crosby level player, or they're looking for a next
or Brock
star.
Faber.
Players like that.
Please don't.
He was a rookie that came out and fucking no. But I'm saying if he was, if one of the draft picks is a Brock Faber caliber player, who comes out as a rookie and fucking lights shit up,
then
they're gonna do great. And there are some really good picks coming out. We've seen the draft grouping getting better and better each year in terms of talent. So I think that they're setting themselves up well. I will say, I think that Dallas did really well this year with their draft picks. I will say Colorado did great. I think selfishly we did pretty great too.
Guys, made a nice move.
Yeah, we made really the only move that we needed to. I will say, as far as if there are losers, Buffalo, I think, is one. I think they took a bit of a risk there. I don't think that they did, enough to.
I don't understand why you trade Dylan Cousins.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I think that's a poor move on their decision. But I will say, I think the absolute winner overall for this is Jack Roslovic, who, when Mikko Rantanen came in, gave up his jersey number, and Rantanen gave him a Rolex. Was it?
I think it was a Rolex.
I think it was a Rolex. With a very, very nice Rolex, mind you. And now, 13 games later, he's back to wearing number 96 as the Canes. So he got a free Rolex. All he had to do was wear a different jersey for a couple of games. Not the biggest deal in the whole world. For 2 weeks. It's valued at over $10,000, by the way, that Rolex.
Wow.
That's an important jersey number, huh?
Yeah. He also got a custom sterling silver chain, which was handmade by Finnish master goldsmith.
That's crazy.
So he made out like a bandit. in terms of draft stuff. Shout out to Jack Roslovic. That's crazy.
I also like what San Jose did. San Jose offloaded a lot of contracts. I think obviously your goaltender situation dropped significantly by trading someone with like Vitek Vanacek's numbers. Granted, he is inconsistent, but he's still a solid goalie when he's on. But like removing pieces that are going to allow them to have a lot more room in free agency, a lot more room in the coming years for farther rebuild, because unlike Chicago, San Jose will not allow 3 or 4 seasons of Macklin Celebrini to look like dog shit. That team is very clearly building for the future. Really happy for San Jose for making a lot of good moves. As much as I hate the other California teams, I think hockey is great when all 3 Cali teams are battling each other. So I'm very thrilled with that move. Also, Anaheim picking up a defenseman like Oliver Kylington, I think it's a good move. It's a depth guy that's going to work well with all of the younger talent that Anaheim has coming up.
And I will say also still forever, fuck the Blackhawks for still doing nothing. They're not a playoff contender at all, but they are doing nothing currently to fix their shit.
The only thing that they got out of all of
they
this
offloaded
in the
a
past
goalie.
couple weeks is Spencer Knight. That's really it. Like, you upgraded your goaltending, but that doesn't stop all of the other fucking problems you got.
Yeah.
Right.
So fuck them. All right. With that, Danger, you want to walk us into some updates about our Naughty Boys and our Hurdy Boys?
Yes. And so we already touched on Ekblad, but just to give the numbers, obviously he was suspended. Those 20 games, 18 of those being regular season games for violating the terms of the NHL, NHLPA Performance Enhancing Substances Program. A lot of letters. That forfeits $1,445,312.50 of his salary going to the Players Assistance Program. That number is updated to $3,756,819.43 for this season. Just absolutely insane. But a great, increase in funding for that program. So it's hard to be upset about it. And as Dee earlier touched on, Sheldon Keefe, the New Jersey Devils head coach, got fined $25,000 on March 2nd for unprofessional conduct towards officials. It just wasn't landed as of time of recording. It didn't come out until Wednesday last week.
Probably called him a cocksucker.
Did he?
Yeah.
Probably.
It was a
I
bench
thought
minor.
maybe you read his lips, because I always try to read their lips when I can. But I didn't see the video of that one.
It was a bench minor after the refs made a call that he disagreed with. One of his players got hit, I want to say, if I remember.
Okay.
Hold on. He was ejected too. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Usually that comes
it was after
with being fined.
Yeah. There was a collision that sent Jack Hughes into the boards awkwardly, and Hughes left from that injury, and there was no penalty called on the play. So he said after the game, I was kicked off the bench for telling the referee I felt that it was 10 times worse than the penalty that was previously called on Jack. It's tough to see, especially with it being a play that he got called for earlier in that same period. Not only does he get injured on the play, but there's no call. So I'm sure he didn't say, I told him, hey, that was way worse. I'm pretty sure there was a few curse words and names that your mother would wash your mouth out with soap for.
Where to go and how to get there.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, I did see the video, and he is absolutely losing his fucking mind because his best player that they just got back.
Yeah, I saw a still picture from it. I forget where, but I think I was waiting for an appointment and couldn't read the whole article or watch the video because I had to go. Like, damn it, you couldn't make me wait 5 more minutes?
Sometimes you don't need the audio to know how pissed off somebody is.
For sure.
A still picture gets the image across sometimes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Dean Evanson was always good for that too. You could always see, based on what shade of red his face was, how angry he was.
Gretzky as a coach was like that.
Yeah. And then for injury, starting with Anaheim, we have Robbie Fabry.
Fabry.
Febreze.
Febreze.
I'm gonna call him Fabrizi.
Do it.
But he has an upper body injury on IR, now expected to be out until at least March 16th. John Gibson with that lower body injury is still listed as day-to-day. For Boston, update on Charlie McAvoy on IR, expected now to be out until at least April 15th. For Buffalo, we have Jacob Bernard-Doctor. Not injury related day-to-day. I'm sure that's trade related, like he's just not currently playing, because I don't remember if he got traded to or was he not on the trade?
He's been on the IR for a while.
Yeah, but this one's not injury related. But I thought he got traded. But no,
He did get
I'm
traded.
thinking maybe it's another. Okay.
He did get traded.
I was like, I knew I wasn't thinking of Nicholas Abe-Kubel, but I knew there was another 3-name. Yeah. But I knew it was another 3-name player. So that could not be. Who knows? Then we have Juri Kulik with an illness listed as day-to-day. And John Jason Peterka. Thank you. I'm like, it's Peter K, and my brain could not comprehend that. With a lower body injury, he is also listed as day-to-day. Nobody new for Calgary or updates on their 2 injured people. For Carolina, updates on William Carrier, lower body expected to be out until at least April 17th. Dmitry Orlov, upper body injury, expected to be out until at least March 14th, which is only 3 days away, which seems crazy. And then we have Andrei Svechnikov, undisclosed, expected to be out until at least March 14th. For Chicago, we have Alec Martinez, undisclosed, listed as day-to-day. And Laurent Brossoit, knee injury on IR, out for the rest of this season. Nobody new for Colorado. For Columbus, an update on Cole Sillinger, shoulder injury on IR, expected to be out until at least April 1st. For Dallas, we have Rupe Hintz with that face injury, expected to be out until March 18th. He got, clocked in the face? Cut? I don't remember if he needed stitches.
Hintz, he took a block shot to the face.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he got hit in the face by the puck.
It was really bad.
Yeah, I saw the still of that. He did not suffer a fracture, but is expected to miss at least a week, minimum of the next 2 games. It doesn't say if he needed stitches or not, but thankfully it did not fracture, which is good.
Yeah, I'm glad he's okay. That was
literally
really
as a blockhead. Then
really scary.
Yeah, because he went down hard, from what I heard.
He went down hard and
one
fast.
That I got to watch.
Very fast.
Yeah.
He went down.
Yeah, so I'm sure they worried about him just being out cold.
Yeah.
And then Miro Heiskanen. Thank you. Knee injury on IR, expected to be out until at least March 31st. More of their players can certainly get hurt, though, because fuck you, Dallas. I'm going to get meaner and meaner closer to playoffs we get. I believe we're still beating Dallas. I don't think we're beating Colorado anymore, but I believe we're still beating Dallas. For Detroit, we have Carter Mazur, upper body on IR, expected to be out until at least March 14th. For Edmonton, John Klingberg, undisclosed, listed as day-to-day. Matthias Ekholm, undisclosed, listed as day-to-day. Evander Kane with that knee injury on IR, expected to be out until at least March 18th. He's been out for a while, but apparently it's updated. For Florida, we have Jonah Godoyevich, personal reasons, expected to be out until at least March 13th. Aaron Ekblad with that suspension. Brad Marchand, which is so weird to see on the Florida fucking roster. Upper body, expected to be out until at least March 23rd. For Minnesota,
That's
updates
familiar.
on Joel Eriksson Ek with that lower body injury on IR, now expected to be out until at least March 19th. And the one that hurts my heart every time I have to read his name, Kirill Kaprizov, lower body on IR, now expected to be out until at least April 6th. But, like I've said a million times, and I just have to keep reminding myself of this every week, it's a good thing that he's taking the time to get healthy.
Mhm.
For Montreal, we have Patrick Laine with an illness, expected to be out until at least March 12th. Nothing major there. For Nashville, we have Michael Bunting with an abdominal injury, expected to be out until at least March 14th. Oh, my cat's actually eating her food down here. That's crazy. Oh, he had an appendectomy. He had his appendix taken out.
That sucks.
Ah.
Yeah, last week. Yeah. That's for him. But it could be a lot worse. And then Zachary Leheureux with that upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least March 14th. Roman Josi, upper body on IR, expected to be out until at least March 18th. For New Jersey, update on Dougie Hamilton with that lower body injury, expected to be out until March 17th. And Jonas Siegenthaler, lower body on IR, expected to be out until at least April 18th. And then Jack Hughes, with that shoulder injury on IR, expected to be out for the rest of the season, which I think we talked about.
Yeah.
For the Islanders, we have Kyle McLean with an illness listed as day-to-day. Matthew Barzal with kneecap injury on IR, expected to be out until at least April 1st. And then Semyon Varlamov with that lower body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least April 17th. For the Rangers, we have Adam Fox with an upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least March 16th. For Ottawa, we have Travis Hamonic with is that what I said? Travis
I think so.
Hamonic. Jesus
Somewhere.
Christ. Lord be with me. Okay. Lower body injury expected now to be out until at least March 13th. For Philadelphia, we have Garnet Hathaway with an upper body injury on IR, or not on IR, expected to be out until at least March 13th. Jesus, my eyes are like just reading too far ahead. And I can't do that to myself. For Pittsburgh, we have Tommy Novak, lower body injury, expected to be out until at least March 13th. And Ryan Shea with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least March 18th. And Pierre-Olivier Joseph with an upper body injury on IR, now expected to be out until at least March 13th. For San Jose, we have Henry Thurn with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least March 20th. Jan Rutta, lower body on IR, expected to be out until at least April 13th. Tyler Toffoli with a lower body injury, listed as day-to-day. Noah Gregor, not injury-related, listed as day-to-day. For St. Louis, we have Colton Perico with a knee injury not on IR, expected to be out until at least April 17th. Jeez.
You just
Tampa
want
Bay,
everyone to
we
be on
have
IR.
Victor Hedman. I'm trying, man. Victor Hedman for Tampa Bay with a lower body injury, listed as day-to-day. For Toronto, we have Christopher Tanev, upper body on IR. Yes, on IR this time. Expected to be out until March 13th. Yanni Hakanpää, the knee injury on IR, expected to be out until at least March 30th. And Max Pacioretty, undisclosed, on IR, expected to be out until at least March 15th. For Utah, we have Robert Bortuzzo, lower body on IR, expected to be out until at least March 12th. And Nick Bjugstad with an upper body injury on IR, expected to be also out until at least March 12th. For Vancouver, we have Quinn Hughes with undisclosed, expected to be out until at least March 12th. Thatcher Demko with that lower body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least March 30th. For Vegas, we have Ivan Barbashev with personal reasons, expected to be out until at least March 13th. Brett Howden, undisclosed, expected to be out until at least March 13th. William Karlsson, update with that lower body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least March 13th. Raphael Lavoie, upper body on IR, expected to be out until at least March 13th. And that's it. Nobody new for Washington.
Hell yeah.
Still says Sonny
And-
Milano may be back as soon as April 1st, but we'll see.
And nobody's out on Winnipeg, it looks like.
No,
Yeah,
they're
nobody,
healthy
for them.
as
which
fuck.
is great for them.
Yeah. I know.
But
Maybe
yeah.
they should. I only say that because, we're
want
now
the President's
currently
Trophy?
tied with points.
Oh,
But
fair.
we have a game
That's
in
very
hand
fair.
because they've played one more game than us.
But remember,
So-
you don't really want to win the President's Trophy.
I mean,
It's not
fair point. We've won it how many times then not made it to the cup round?
Well,
so
no one's
maybe
won
we
the
don't.
Cup
Right.
Maybe
and
we
the
want
President's
second.
Trophy in the same year since like 2013. So
Yeah.
it's been a long time.
Fair.
It hasn't been us. So, all right. With that, Chris, you want to give us an update on all things fantasy hockey?
So we just finished up week 20. We are in the penultimate week of the regular season for the Fantasy Hockey League. Scores were John took the win over Matt 97-68. Marcello, who's making a nice late season push, got the win over Dave 94-81. Drew took the win over Danger 119-70. Wes squeaked out a pretty close one over Maul 110-106. And I'm sorry, D. I beat D 141-124. Obviously, points or the standings don't matter. We already know who's locked into the playoffs. We are currently on week 21, like I said, the second to last week before the regular season ends. D is up against Wes. Dave is up against Matt, Marcello, and Danger, Drew and Maul, and myself and John. D made some wholesale changes yesterday. You made some moves.
I did.
Getting yourself
Should have made
prepared
him
for
sooner. I
postseason.
might have been able to beat you.
You could have gotten close, I think. I think you could have gotten close.
I think I could have.
I just once I think
Yeah.
it was like Friday hit and everyone just started scoring and I was like, I'm sorry.
Well, I also have this thing where I don't always have people playing.
I know.
Yeah.
That makes it super tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really all I got. Maul, you made a move too today, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I had a player on IR that is out for the rest of the season, so we dropped him. Gone.
There you go.
Yeah, because you had
Yeah.
it was Pareko, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So then, which sucks because he was doing really good as far as points go for my defense, but
I think they got hurt.
yeah, he's not gonna help me out anymore. So
Yeah.
No.
off with his head. Figuratively.
Off with his head.
I did to him what the Bruins did to Marchand. I cut him.
Yeah, basically.
Just wasn't as impactful, I guess.
Yeah, no. Well, thank you very much, Chris, for that update. Appreciate you. Did you have a trivia question for us this week?
I actually do have a trivia question for you guys. So obviously, Mikko Rantanen being on three different teams in one season is crazy.
Mhm.
It has happened recently. In the last 10 years, it
Oh,
has
boy.
happened. Can you guys
Okay.
tell me how many times it's happened in the last 10 years?
In the last 10 years?
Mhm.
Okay.
That a player's played for 3 teams.
That a player has
same
played
year.
for 3 teams in the same season. It's happened 3 different, or not 3, 4? No, 3 teams.
Oh, so you already
3
told us the
teams.
answer.
Yeah,
So
you just told us the
Did you give us the
answer.
answer?
Did I? I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
You said
I was-
3?
You just said
I
it
was
happened
all in
4
three.
times.
That's my bad. 3 times it happens. I did give you guys the answer.
Okay.
My B.
Hell yeah.
Look
But
at that. We
the
we
most
tricked the trickster.
but we'll switch it around.
We're
Can
so
you
smart,
guess
guys.
the
We
most
knew that
recent
one.
season besides this year? What was the most recent season? We'll actually make it a trivia.
In the last in the last 10 years.
In the last 10 years. What was the most recent season that it happened, not counting this year?
2021,
2018
2022.
to 2019.
Well,
Season right before COVID. No, I tried.
I'll say 2016 to 2017.
Danger is the closest.
Damn.
2019,
Really?
2020. And it's a player
Damn it.
that we should all be familiar with. Derek Brassard.
Yeah.
He started the season 2019 with the Pittsburgh
Interesting.
Penguins. On February 2nd, 2019, he was traded to the Panthers for Riley Sheehan and 3 picks for Nick Bukestad and Jared McCann. And then
Wow.
on February 25th, he was traded to the Avalanche for a draft pick. Other notables that it happened, Rene Bourque, who in 2017-2018, who started with the Canadiens, was traded to the Ducks, then later traded to the Blue Jackets. And then Reed Boucher, who started with the Devils, was claimed off of waivers 2 different times in 2016 to the Preds, and then in 2017 by the Canucks. Yeah, it's happened like 10 times, 11 times.
Yeah.
counting
crazy.
Mikko. But yeah, Mikko has the most points of any player to play for 3 teams in one season.
Wow.
Well, he is Mikko. So
You can say he
there's
is
that.
Mikko Rantanen, yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. He kind of wins on that one. Okay, Chris, tell us maybe everyone's favorite segment of the week. Tell us who our obscure players of the week this week.
Dude, they changed up all of my shit here. Where's my reggae horn?
Do I need to redo the intro?
I gotta find the horn.
Uh-oh.
Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Found it. Took me a minute.
There we go.
Discord changed their whole layout. So
They
I'm
did. I know, it
trying
threw
to
me off too.
I was like, oh my god.
That's why
this
I
week-
practiced with the golf club earlier.
You did good, kid. Thankfully I don't have to go all the way to the bottom now. It's right at the top. So instead of scrolling all the way down, I'm just like, oh, perfect. Our obscure NHL player of the week this week is Chris Neal. Was born in Flesherton, Ontario. The
Wow.
Sorry about it,
right-handed
bud.
Name of a town.
the right-handed right winger was drafted 161st overall in the 1998 draft by the Ottawa Senators. And this one's going to be really fucking boring. I don't have to give you guys a guess on anything here. 1,026 career games played, all with the Ottawa Senators. 112 goals, 138 assists, 2,522 penalty minutes, making him the all-time leader in franchise history with Ottawa. 95 appearances in the playoffs. Including the just brutalization of the loss in 5 games in the Stanley Cup Finals, the Anaheim Ducks. 95 playoff appearances, 9 goals, 10 assists, 204 penalty minutes.
Wow.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, played his entire career with Ottawa. He announced his retirement on December 14th, 2017. Before that in June, it was announced that he had mutually separated with the Senators due to Neal being displeased with his limited role at head coach, then head coach Guy Boucher, allowing Neal to become a free agent. Obviously, he then retired. Neal served as assistant head coach for his son's ice hockey teams. In January 2022, Neal and 2 business partners opened Iceland Skating Trails, an outdoor skating facility in Stittsville, which I assume is in like a suburb of Ottawa, on the land he had purchased while he was still a player. The facility has 2 skating loops in the forest, as well as an outdoor rink, which is rented out for minor league hockey teams and other group events. On September 22nd, Neal was promoted to Vice President of Business and Community Development for the Senators. He was previously an alumni ambassador for like the team and community events. November 8th, 2022, the Senators announced that his number would be retired with a ceremony that took place before the game against the Chicago Blackhawks in February. Big shout out to Chris Neal. That is a name I'm very familiar with. Growing up watching him play, he was a fucking dog, man. That dude will brutalize you. He beats you down, and yeah. I again, this is back to the loyalty, playing his entire career with one team. And then once it was over, he just said, "Fuck it, I'm out," and is doing some great stuff. I have not seen anything on this skating place, but I definitely want to check it out because that sounds really fucking cool.
It does.
So that is your obscure NHL player of the week.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate that. Listen, if y'all made it this far into the episode, why have you not clicked like yet? And why have you not clicked subscribe yet? I mean, you're this far in.
Question.
Is it really that much extra work? I don't think it is. But no, really, it does help. For all of our listeners that come back week after week, we so appreciate you. Please remember, wherever you are, whatever platform you're listening, viewing, pooping with this to, leave a comment to let us know what your question of the week is. We will do our best to answer it. You may not like the answer, especially if you're a Boston fan right now. The answer is get fucked. To whatever you ask, it's just the answer is get fucked. But yeah, let us know your questions of the week. Also, in that comment section down below, please let us know who has the best jerseys in the league as we get ready to head into playoff hockey. Who do you want to see the most? Whose jerseys are least offensive to the eyes when trying to watch it on the big screen? As always, we love you, and we'll see you motherfuckers next week in the face-off circle.